Nano machine. Bai, ang Hongguolya. Chapter 158. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 1. Huh? Ko-Wonger, Mun-Ku, Bak-Gi, and Samachuk also were super master level warrior, so they opened their detection sense and felt it, but surely there was no one else. It was either of two. It was either one was a really powerful warrior who can hide, and another was that the house was really empty. Yoan quickly opened the guard Zhang's room, but it was empty. What is this? He's not here at this hour? It was a bit after midnight, so Zhang should have been asleep. It was not time for him to be walking around. The room still had guard Zhang's stuff in it, so it was sure that he still lived here, but it was weird. No heat. Yoan then realized there was no heat in the room. It was cold winter, so Zhang would have heated the house with a pit stove at the kitchen, but there was no heat. It seemed the house had been empty for at least 3 or 4 days. When Yoan went out, all of his members who checked the other rooms came out with a disappointed look. There's no one, master. They can see that Chun Yoan was not pleased with this, and Hu Bang reported calmly. Prince, maybe guard Zhang went to visit someplace? Like his own clan? Mun-Ku asked just in case, but Yoan shook his head. He heard that guard Zhang was an orphan who had no home. Let's be calm, let's look this through. Yoan then came out of the yard and looked at the ground. He first thought the yard was cleanly swept, that it had no problem, but if guard Zhang had left it empty at this hour, it meant something had happened. This is weird. It's too clean. There was no person, but it was weird to see entire house cleanly organized. If there was trace of any fight, he could have guessed from there, but there was no trace of anything. Yoan bit his lips and looked around, but it was too hard to find. It seemed like all traces erased intentionally. If that was the case, it was someone who had planned it for a long time. Yoan then ordered Nano. Nano, scan the entire house and find any marks of someone breaking in or a fight. Yes, master. Scanning every visible area of the house. With Nano's voice, Yoan saw white light scanning through the entire house. And after a while, Nano's voice spoke to him. Activating augmented reality over user sight. In Yoan's eyes, a red dot was placed over it where Yoan's visual space with white lines and writings descriptions on it. Oh. The dot was located above the pillar, right above the cornerstone of the house. It was toward the bottom that Yoan did not know at first, but he found something that looked like a sword mark on it. Sword? It was more like a trace left by sword chi. If there were more, then it would have allowed him to figure out what formation it was used, but this was too faint. Even Nano couldn't analyze what it was. A sword mark? Ko-Wonger moaned as he checked the mark with the torchlight. It seemed guard Zhang was ambushed. The problem here was if guard Zhang was alive or not. Chun. Yoan became grim as he began to think something had happened to guard Zhang who raised him. He was more grim than any time he had been in the academy. If it's a sword, then we can narrow down who's behind this. Samachuk looked at the sword marking and spoke to Yoan. Everyone here knew who Yoan's enemies were. There are 3 clans who use swords among 6 clans. Sword Clan, Wise Clan, and the Lust Clan used swords. The Lust Clan wasn't technically best at the sword, but they still used it. Ko-Wonger also nodded in agreement. I guess they have erased most of the trace. It looks like they've planned this through. Even with Nano's scan, it was only possible to find one tracing left. Which clan is it? Yoan tried to narrow it down, but all 3 clans seemed very likely to do this. As with Sword and Lust Clan, Yoan had cut down their prince and princess arm off, so they must be angry at him. Should I remove Wise Clan from the suspect list? He had made him suspect as a killer, but there was no way for Wise Clan to know that it was work of Chun Yoan. And with Chun Muyun and Mu Jinyun arrested, and with the other 4 clans being hostile, it seemed it was not likely that Wise Clan will do something like this. But Yoan felt like he had to be suspicious of the Wise Clan. What should I do? As Chun Yoan thought, Hu Bang made an idea. Master, why don't we search for each clan? I heard Lord and Elders are not back yet, so it might be easy to sneak in. He was offering to attack while Lord and Elders were not here. Samachuk answered. That's not as easy as you think. You cannot underestimate the power of 6 clans even without their leaders. Ghost Illusion Clan, who was not one of 6 clans, too quickly reacted to intruders. If Yoan and his members needed to search the entire mansion, then it was hard for them to be not noticed. Samachuk is right. Hu Bang, there's the reason why 6 clans rule our cult. And for these people who did such a thing, they must be standing heavy guard at. Oh, master. Ko-Wonger then struck up a good idea while talking. Master, why don't we do this? Chapter 159. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 2. And the day had passed. At the dark, swampy place, there was just one candle that lit up the place. The room was covered with iron bars that it was only possible to be opened from outside. Inside the cell, the smell of blood filled the entire room. And on the wall, there was man bound by chains on both of his arms, hung up on the wall. He was naked, but his body was bloody from severe torture. He had no nails, and his fingers and toes were cut down, that it was wrapped with linen wrap. Each of his wounds was spilling pus. The man's head fell from passing out due to severe torture. The middle-aged man who seemed to be torturer then placed a heated metal stamp into the man's chest. Arg! The man then woke up with a painful scream. His face covered with hairs were revealed. It was the guard, Zhang Gagging, who was missing. He was already destroyed inside out with 3 days of torture. Who told you can go to sleep? You are not allowed to sleep until you answer all my questions. Arg. This time, the man placed the metal over at guard Zhang's thigh. It was so painful that he even wanted to die. His internal energy was sealed so he cannot commit suicide, and all of his teeth were pulled out so he can't bite on his tongue either. He's tough, for a mere guard. A woman's voice came from outside the cell. It was a woman with lavish clothing and a red veil over her head. It was Lady Mu. Let me ask you this for last time. Did the Lord teach him any kind of martial art? NNGH? N, no, T, there, ish, and T, guard Zhang barely answered. He had been answering the same thing ever since he was taken in here, but Lady Mu kept on torturing him. Ha, you still insist even with your dying breath. Go on. Yes, lady. Torturer tried to start on the torturing again, when someone burst into the cell. It was a middle-aged man with a long beard. As Lady Mu looked at him, the man bowed and reported. Lady, he is out. He is out? What do you mean? Chun Yowan is out of the academy. Lady Mu then rose up immediately from the chair with a surprised look. She had waited so long for Chun Yowan to come out of the academy. That is good. He is unfortunate that he came out of the academy at this time. So, where is he? He is. Lady Mu was surprised to hear whereabout of Chun Yowan. Guard Zhang, who was being tortured, became filled with despair as he heard news of Chun Yowan. Prince. And after an hour? There were 2 most crowded streets inside the castle of the demonic cult. One was the center of the cult, the streets of Bijak where the Lord's palace was located at, and one was the street of Waho on the northern side of the castle. The 2 streets were mostly crowded places that people always busily walked through. And at the largest restaurant of Waho Street, 3 guests were eating at a table on the first floor. It was Chun Yowan, Munku, and Hubong. They were eating quietly, but it had been 2 hours since they sat down here and waited. Hubong asked Munku quietly. Do you really think this will work? I'm not sure. But if what Kowanger guessed is right, then they will try to contact us in any way. Munku wasn't really sure if their plan will really work. They came to Waho Street intentionally where people can find him easily, but it wasn't sure if the person behind the kidnapping of Guard Zhang will really try to contact them. They are after you, not Guard Zhang. If they find out that you have come out of the demonic academy, they will try to contact you. But I'm sure they will not try to do something fishy in front of every people on the street. That was Kowanger's plan. The reason why Kowanger, Baki and Samachuk weren't with the other 3 was that they were hiding near 3 suspect clans' mansions to watch them. All of this was to find who was behind the kidnapping of Guard Zhang. There was a risk to this, but Kowanger's plan seemed to have a chance of finding it, and Yowan agreed to follow it. That was why he was staying at a restaurant, revealing himself to everyone like this for hours. And after a time, a telepathic message came through Yowan's ear. Stay still if you can hear my voice. If you turn your head or even give the slightest sign to your friends, something you will not want to happen will come true. Chapter 160. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 3. If whoever sent the telepathic message was able to see what Yowan was doing and seeing, then it meant that whoever it is was inside the restaurant. Chun Yowan then heeded the threat from the telepathic message and pretended if he was focusing on the meal. Munku and Hubong were talking to each other for any sign of enemy who they weren't sure when they will contact them. Yowan thought if he should let Munku or Hubong know through telepathic message, but changed his mind in case the enemy can see him sending a telepathic message through looking at his neck moving. They aren't just any enemies. The level of threat was much different from that of cadets from the academy. As Yowan stayed silent, another message came to him. I'll warn you. Don't try to even find me through your senses. If you try anything stupid, he will die. They were threatening Yowan as if they already knew Yowan found out that Guard Zhang had gone missing. Damn it. Yowan's eye turned cold. He had never been threatened with someone he knew kidnapped, and he didn't realize it would feel this devastating and furious. But Yoan was not going to abide by the threat. Nano, can you locate where this telepathic message is coming from? Yes, Master. Scanning the frequency of the energy wave. Changing the ear function to hear another frequency. And with Nano's words, Yoan heard weird whistle sound ringing through his ear and heard the telepathic message again. Today, I found you. Yoan didn't move so it would not be noticeable, but the sound was coming from the entrance of the restaurant. Yoan couldn't see him correctly, so he couldn't see the man's face. The message continued. At midnight, come to the mansion of the Poison Clan. Poison Clan? Yoan became confused as the name he didn't expect popped up. He thought it was either Sword, Wise or the Lust Clan, so the Poison Clan's name was unexpected. You must come unarmed. If you bring that blade or sword that you have on your back or waist, your arm will be cut down even before you enter the mansion. Yoan tried hard to hold back, but he clenched his fist from holding back his anger. And you must come early. If we find even shadow of anyone within 300 feet around the mansion, the person will be killed. And there are no one walks around the mansion at the time, so don't try to play tricks. This was a trap set up to put Yoan alone. It was a situation where Yoan had to enter the snake's mouth himself. It was sure what was going to happen if he goes there. In some way, it wasn't needed for Yoan to take this condition if it wasn't for Guard Zhang. But for Yoan, Guard Zhang wasn't just anyone. For other princes, guards were just a form of protection set upon by the Lord, but for Yoan, Guard Zhang was like his parents. If you don't appear at the appointed time, we will think you have given up on him and we will kill him. I'm sure you will choose wisely. These enemies too knew how important Guard Zhang was to Chun Yoan, and thus was threatening with such condition. Chun Yoan was angered so much that he wanted to jump out and cut down the neck of the man who was sending the telepathic message to him. I'm done here. And don't even try to track me down. And with that as the last word, the man disappeared from the entrance. Yoan then got up, thinking he should do something before the man's presence really disappears from the area. But when Yoan got up, 4 men got up from other tables and glared at Yoan. Yoan then charged against those who glared at him. Arg! Yoan appeared in front of each man and struck them with his fist to make them pass out, except 1 man. Arg! The middle-aged man was held up in the air as Yoan held him by the neck. It was hard to believe that Yoan can just hold him up easily. Kek. H help. D don't kill me. What clan are you from? Huh? C clan? Hike. The hostile aura coming out from supreme level warrior Yoan was something that not even most top-class warriors can handle. But the man that Yoan was holding on was merely a third-class warrior. The man wet his pants from fear, and passed out. Prince. Master, are these the ones? Munku and Hu Bong quickly came over with a shocked look. Yoan then looked at the man with a frown and mumbled. I got the wrong men. These men were just low-class warriors, not likely from any of 6 clans. With people in the restaurants focusing them, Yoan had to get out of the place with men who Yoan struck down. He took them to his home at the southern gate of the castle. After asking them questions when they woke up, the result was what Yoan expected. We were just paid to look at you people. D don't kill us. It's the truth. 4 of them all spoke of the same thing. They received a silver coin and were told by a certain man to just look at Yoan's group. Yoan asked who he was, and they all said the man covered his head with a bamboo hat, so they weren't really sure. Yoan also checked these men's tag, and they were from ordinary families. I won't kill you guys, but you must stay here for 2 days. Huh? Yoan needed to make sure, so he sealed their blood points and locked them up in the storage. I'll have to wait for Ko Wonger, Baki, and Samachuk to return. Chapter 161. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 4. If they return from scouting 3 clans, then Yoan will be able to find out. They would have seen people going in and out of each mansion, so it was likely they will find out who was behind this. And at dinner time, the time for 3 people to come was up. The first one to return was Ko Wonger, who went to scout Lust Clan. Wonger said that there were people going in and out of Lust Clan, but they didn't mobilize any of their forces or any signs of preparing warriors. Yoan also asked if Wonger saw any man covering his face with a bamboo hat, but Wonger said no. So, it's not the Lust Clan. I think so. It is likely from Wise or Sword Clan. And if 2 others come, who was behind was going to be found out. An hour passed. But Baki or Samachuk did not return from their scouting. They are being too late. The sun was already going down. Hu Bong kept waiting outside the gate, but there was no one returning to them. Damn it. Chun Yo-won and his members realized something had gone wrong. At the same time, in the mansion of Wise Clan to the north of the castle, a middle-aged woman was sitting down in the living room, watching the reddened sky. It was Lady Mu of the Wise Clan. As she drank her tea, warriors from Wise Clan walked into the yard valiantly. At the front, there was an old man with long white hair, and a middle-aged man with a long beard. The warriors behind them were carrying two young men who had passed out. They laid down two men in front of Lady Mu. The old man smiled and spoke to Lady Mu. As you said, we found him hiding near the Sword Clan's mansion. He was quite strong. The old man's upper clothes had many footsteps on it. The old man looked at the young man on the ground. It was Bakgi. He was pale, possibly from internal damage, and had sword wound on his blood points that stained his clothes with blood. And another young man next to him was Samachuk. Samachuk, who was checking on the Wise Clan, was attacked by a man with a long beard. Samachuk too had a pale face, looking like he had gained internal damage. But the middle-aged man too had many wounds. It seems you put some effort. That young one was established super master level. The middle-aged man couldn't defeat Samachuk alone. He was barely fighting at equal, so if it wasn't for his warriors, he would not have captured Samachuk. I'm ashamed. Lady Mu smiled through her veil and spoke. It's okay. You accomplished your mission. So, we are ready then. I'm sure that peasant will be confused who to blame for his missing member between us and the Sword Clan. As Lady Mu became pleased, the bearded man thought to himself. She is a terrifying woman. The man had worked for Lady Mu for over 20 years, but he had never seen a person who was more cunning than she was. As soon as she heard that Yo-won revealed himself in front of the crowd at the street, she immediately recognized Yo-won was setting traps to find the culprit behind the kidnapping of Guard Jiang. If she didn't volunteer to become the wife of the Lord, the leader of the current Wise Clan could have been her. Lady Mu was that much cunning. So, who are these young men anyway? She asked, and the old man answered. This young man is Bakgi, member of Pure Kick Clan. Burekik, a man from high-ranking clan. So, that peasant put some effort into the academy then. I didn't expect him to have such a servant. The Pure Kick Clan was a high-ranking clan who was famous for their martial arts skill. She expected Yo-won to gather some members for the competition, but it seems he had gotten more than she expected. So, who is he then? Oh, actually I needed to ask you what you should do with him. Why? He is the son of the 9th elder. He said he's from the Samu clan. Samu? You mean he's the son of Sama-e? Yes, lady. The middle-aged man had to capture his target as it was the order, but the target wasn't like Guard Jiang. The man even hesitated when he heard who this young man was. But Lady Mu was more surprised at another point. He even recruited Samu clan? He really is dangerous. I was right. If I don't kill him while the Lord isn't here, then he might become too powerful later to handle. Martial art, strategy and luck with people. 2 former traits were something that can be trained through effort, but the third wasn't in that regard. It was more of fate for one to become a leader above all else. And from hearing these 2 names, Lady Mu confirmed that she had to kill Chun Yo-won when she can. Chapter 162. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 5. At midnight, the castle of the demonic cult was very cold. On the western side of the castle, there was the mansion of the Poison Clan. On every building above and around 300 feet of the mansion, warriors from Wise Clan were hiding over, checking on everything around them. And they found one person walking toward the Poison Clan. The young man had black clothes with red embroidery, and long black hair with a pale white face. He's not carrying a weapon. He did not carry a blade or sword that he always carried around. Warriors from Wise Clan checked that he was unharmed and raised a flag. And with that, all warriors began flashing flags that continued through the mansion of the Poison Clan. At the mansion, there was a large courtyard where 100 warriors were waiting with arms. And on top of the building, there were archers, who ready to fire the moment they saw flags coming up. On the inside of the building, there was a table with Lady Mu sitting down on the chair and drinking tea. On side of her, old man and a man with a long beard was standing like a guard. He's here. The Wise Clan had been waiting here, ready for almost an hour now. They have prepared everything to send Chun Yo-won to his death. And soon, Yo-won entered the mansion. They are ready for everything. As Yo-won walked in, he sensed over 200 warriors around. It was sure that these people were ready for anything. And as Yo-won walked in, Lady Mu smiled. That boy now had become young man. A man who now threatens me. She made him not learn internal energy before entering the academy, and used Poison and Sword Clan from behind to kill him with every method there is. But Yoan had survived through everything and eventually came to hit her. Yoan had left his arms as warned, but his energy coming out of his body showed how powerful he was. It was hard to believe that he became supreme level warrior, but after sensing such power, Lady Mu realized he was now probably the top 5 rank in terms of power within the cult. All archers aimed their arrows to fire at any time to kill Chen Yoan. Lady Mu waved at Yoan. "We finally meet. Come here." "That woman?" Yoan glared. The woman was the one who came with other women, before Yoan's mother Lady Hua died, to have Yoan promise that he will not learn internal energy before he enters the academy. So, she comes after me even after all these years. Hatred began to burn Yoan's heart down, and even made his saliva to go dry. But Yoan was not a reckless boy anymore. He kept his coldness and faced Lady Mu across the table. Lady Mu smiled. "It's been a long time since I saw you when you were young. Time flies, you resemble much of your mother." When she first saw Yoan in long time, she truly was reminded of Lady Hua. It was disgusting to see Yoan looking more like his mother than his father Chen Yuzhong. "And you and your dirty mother are also same in making me do more work. I guess you two are same peasants after all, falling in such trap because of useless love. You are not fit for a greater purpose." She truly scoffed at Chen Yoan, who came to his death just because of a worthless guard warrior. And at Lady Mu, Yoan asked with an emotionless face, "Where are Guard Zhang and my servants? Are you that naive? Do you truly believe I would have brought them here? What a fool." She didn't intend on letting them go from the start. If she kills Yoan here, she was going to kill Guard Zhang and persuade his servants to join Chen Muyun instead. But Yoan looked weird. Why is he not bothered by this? It was a complete checkmate, but Chen Yoan didn't seem to mind it. In fact, it seemed he was confident that he can turn this situation upside down. "Your eyes? I don't like that. Let's seal your internal energy first, and we'll talk more." When Lady Mu raised her hand, and the middle-aged man with a long beard walked up and came to Yoan. "If you want to keep your guard alive, then don't resist." The man threatened to Chen Yoan with whispers. And at that moment, Yoan glared coldly at the man and spoke with cold voice. "So, it was you?" The voice of bearded man. It was the same as the voice of the telepathic messages that threatened Yoan at the restaurant. The man then suddenly got scared at Yoan remembering him, and reached out with his hand that wielded energy. "Your time is done." And when his hand almost reached Yoan's stomach, Yoan quickly snatched the man's wrist. What? The man tried to pull his hand out by using energy, but his wrist didn't even budge as if he was stuck under a giant rock. "Let me go. You. Aoweawerg." And as Yoan clenched on his hand, the man's wrist snapped in the opposite direction, and broken bone poked outside of his flesh. Lady Mu shouted angrily to Yoan. "So, you don't care if your guard dies? I can just snap my finger and he will." But before she can finish, Yoan threw something from his pocket over at the table. It was a small wooden box. Lady Mu became suspicious and asked, "What is this?" "Check it yourself." She became hesitant as she felt something wasn't right, but she held up the box and opened it. Her eyes shook as she checked what was inside. What is the meaning of this? If she was not a martial artist of the cult but just a regular woman, she would have dropped the box already. What's inside was eyeball of a human. It seemed it was pulled out just while ago, that blood was still dripping from it. She was too shocked by the contents of it. Yoan then spoke to her with elusive voice. "What do you think? Whose eyeball do you think it is?" Chapter 163. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 6. 4 hours ago. A small hill located at the northeast corner of the demonic academy, there was a prison cave for criminals. Inside, there were 2 cadets who were decided on their expulsion from the academy. It was Chen Muyun and Mu Jinyun from the Wise clan. 2 of them were locked up separately after 4 cadets had died few days ago. And at dark cave inside the prison cave, a small candle was lit up the small interior where one man was sitting down, meditating. It was Chen Muyun. His internal energy had been sealed when he entered the cave, so the only thing he can do is meditating. Any normal person will go mad when locked up in such a small cave alone, but Chen Muyun held up with only one purpose. Chen Yoan. He didn't even care about the man when they entered the academy. The only one he watched out was Chen Yuchan and Chen Kungwan, princes from other clans. Even his mother, Lady Mu, told him that he didn't need to care about Chen Yoan. But that Chen Yoan had humiliated him more than ever in his entire life. This is not over yet. He had lost on the competition, but he knew that it wasn't over. His mother, Lady Mu, was a talented strategist and powerful warrior who hid her power. She was a type who needed to fulfill her goal, and her goal right now was to make Chun Muyun as the heir to the throne. Mother will make a move. He believed that Lady Mu will surely see through Chun Yuan's wicked plans and take care of him. Muyun hoped for that and held him back. Soon, Chun Yuan will be at his knees, begging for his lives. Mother will probably be taken care of. That's when the giant stone blocking the entrance to the cave began to move. Muyun became surprised. Finally, he thought it was time. He knew that Lady Mu will not leave him in such a cave for long. When the stone opened its entrance about halfway, cold outside air freshened up inside. It's time. Muyun got up from his seat. When he tried to take step toward the entrance, Muyun became shocked at the person standing, blocking the entrance. To Muyun's eye that had adapted to the darkness, it was clear who this person was. How did you? Ugh. But before he can finish, powerful energy pressed him down, sending him down on his knees. Even if his internal energy wasn't sealed, this energy was too powerful for him to resist. A person walked up to Muyun, who knelt down. The candlelight lit up the man's face. It was Chun Yuan. How did he come here? He couldn't understand. He thought he was being freed from the cave, but it was actually Chun Yuan. This place should have been guarded by instructors or guards, so it wasn't sure why Chun Yuan was here. Yuan looked down coldly at Muyun and spoke. Guard Zhang is missing. Guard Zhang? Muyun did not know who this Guard Zhang is. Yuan ignored Muyun's confusion and continued. And those who kidnapped Guard Zhang tells me to come right into the trap, if I want to let him live. Ah! It was simple explanation, but Muyun instinctively knew who was behind this. It was certain his mother, Lady Mu, who have done this. Lady Mu was good at setting up such traps to deal with ones, even if the one was powerful. And what do you want me to do? Muyun asked back coldly, holding back his feelings. Yuan then flicked his hand with cold eyes, and Muyun's 2 arms were pulled up forcefully. What is this? What are you doing? Muyun tried to resist his physical power, but it was no use. With his 2 arms shooting straight up to the air, Yuan's hand began to shine in white sword chi. And with sword chi, Muyun couldn't be calm anymore. I was going to find Guard Zhang and rescue him at first, but I changed my mind when I found out who was behind all this. Eye for an eye. That's how I am going to solve this. Yuan decided to be merciless from now on. And even if he enters the snake's mouth, there was no proof that these people will let Guard Zhang live. Let me ask you. How precious are you to the people of Wise Clan? No. To your mother, Lady Mu? The question held every plan Chun Yuan was trying to do. Muyun's heart began to pound. He's trying to keep me as a hostage. But if that was the case, what was with the sword chi? Was he trying to cut some part of his body to threaten her? Muyun tried to persuade Yuan with a shaking voice. Chun Yuan, think about it. If it is as you say, harming me won't do good to that Guard Zhang. But before Muyun can finish speaking, Yuan's sword chi shoot through Muyun's wrists. 2 hands cut down and dropped to the ground. Muyun's eye grew large from shock and he screamed in terrible pain coming from his wrist. He wanted to drop to the ground and roll in pain, but Yuan's powerful energy pinned him straight up still as he bled. Aararg. He didn't even think that Yuan will cut his both hands. It wasn't sure if Yuan was trying to take him as a hostage or just unleash his anger on him. Yuan mumbled as he looked at 2 hands that were cut down on the ground. This isn't enough. NNNGH. What do you mean? 2 hands aren't enough. Will she be afraid of her son will die just by looking at this? Chun Muyun, even in his pain, chilled to the bones at those words. It was so terrifying to even think about what Chun Yuan will try to do, if cutting hands weren't enough. Is he a demon? And at that moment, Yuan's hand dug into Muyun's right eye. Without even blinking, Yuan casually pulled out Muyun's eye. A pain that could not even be compared to being his hands cut off came to him and Muyun passed out. And it was now back to 4 hours later. Lady Mu's eye shook as if her eyes were having an earthquake, as she looked down at the eyeball that was inside the wooden box. Yuan just asked her whose eye that is, but she could think of only one possible answer from that question. Muyun? With Muyun's face coming up on her mind, she became infuriated. If this eye was really from Yun, then Yuan was fighting back with hostage to hostage. No, maybe he's lying. Chapter 164. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 7. She then kept her calm. She remembered that Chun Muyun was still locked at the prison cave at the Demonic Academy. If Chun Yuan had gotten out of the academy, then he was outsider there. If he infiltrated the academy, Left Guardian would not have let him go free. This is a lie. Lady Mu then thought Yan was bluffing, so she glared back and spoke. It seems you tried hard to fool me. So, you harmed my boy at the academy? Do you think I will be fooled by? Oh, I forgot another thing. What? Yoan then placed down something else on the table. It was a medal that proved holder was a member of the Wise clan, with red threads tied on the handle. Lady Mu knew what that was. It's the medal I gave it to him. She finally realized why Yoan didn't seem afraid nor desperate. Lady Mu tried to get Yoan by holding hostage, but she didn't imagine she'll be countered by the same method. She gritted her teeth. I had him stay at the prison cave for nothing. She thought it was better for Muyun to stay at the academy for now. But she didn't expect Yoan would even ignore the laws of the academy and do something to this point. She then thought she had to solve this problem in some way. She couldn't bear to have Chun Yoan do what he wants, meaning that Lady Mu lost to the schemes. I'll pretend on trading hostages and take him out. Lady Mu, not so relaxed like before, asked to Yoan. What do you want? Guard Jang, Baki and Samachuk. If I let go of them, I'm sure you know what you need to do in return. She meant that she wanted Chun Muyun. Yoan nodded simply and Lady Mu raised her hand. 2 warriors from Wise clan then came up to her. Lady Mu gave her red medal to them and ordered. Go and release those hostages and bring them here. Yes, lady. 2 warriors then jumped out of the mansion and Lady Mu turned back to Yoan. Now, I've done my part so you should do yours. Where is my boy? You came here alone, so I'll send one of my own to fetch him. This was what she planned. She was going to feign that she was agreeing to the hostage trade and kill those holding Muyun, and return back to the original state. But it wasn't sure if Chun Yoan will take the bite. If she was in Yoan's position, she would never spill the location until she receives her hostage first. Yoan seemed to hesitate for a bit and answered. My servants hold Chun Muyun and Mu Jinyun at the prison cave of the demonic academy. Lady Mu's eye glistened like a hawk that found its prey. She was concerned if Yoan will not tell the location, but he had bit the bait. Fool. I thought he had become cunning, but he has far more to go. With this, Lady Mu was going to take back the upper hand again. But she also thought Yoan was quite brave in his plan. She didn't think Yoan will hold her son back at the prison cave. Well, that place is safer than most of the other places. She understood the reason behind it, as maybe Demonic Academy was safest place to hide hostages when Yoan did not have many forces yet. Yoan placed his medal of an elder down at the table. If you show this to my servants, they will bring hostage down here by themselves. Don't try to do anything funny as they will not let go of them until we trade hostage here. Members Yoan had left were Ko Wanger, Mun Ku and Hu Bang. It was going to be hard to handle them with weak warriors. Lady Mu turned to the old man standing at her back. You heard him. Please. Kill all of them and bring our kids. She ordered the true order through telepathic message. The old man was at the end stage of Supermaster level. Even if Yoan's members were strong, it was easy to kill them unless they were as strong as elders. The old man nodded with a heavy look and took the elder medal from the table and jumped out of the mansion. And when the old man signaled, warriors hiding around the buildings followed him. With everything ordered, Lady Mu turned to Yoan with a satisfied look. After I bring my kids here in safety, I will kill you miserably. An hour had passed. It was about time for warriors who went to the Wise clan, or the old man who went to the prison cave to return with the kids. But they weren't coming back. Why are they being so late? Lady Mu was pretending if everything was alright while drinking tea, but she was getting nervous. Yoan looked at her and scoffed. Are you nervous? Huh, what are you talking about? You ordered the end-stage Supermaster level warrior to kill all my servants and rescue your sons, but he isn't coming back, isn't that it? How? Lady Mu became shocked. She was good at hiding her emotion, but she couldn't hide her feeling at this. It was a trap. He lied. Lady Mu instinctively knew that she was caught up in Yoan's plan. Lady Mu quickly shouted at warriors of Wise clan. Go to the Wise clan right now and at that moment, archers above the mansion began to shout in shock. Enemies. Ambush. They are too fast. They tried to shoot at the intruder, but the man was too fast that they couldn't even aim. The intruder jumped over the building and down at the courtyard. What? Why are you? How? Lady Mu looked at the man with a dumbfounded look. The man had fiery red long hair. It was Left Guardian Li Hamming. Huh? She didn't notice at first, but there was something on Li Hamming's right hand that dropped water from it. Lady Mu then screamed. It was the old man's head that Lady Mu sent to fetch the hostage. The blood was still dripping from the neck that was cut down, meaning it wasn't a long time ago when the old man died. Yoan grinned at Lady Mu, who was wailing, and spoke. Things aren't going as you planned, isn't it? Chapter 165. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 8. About an hour ago, an old man who arrived at the demonic academy with 10 warriors snuck into the academy while pressing his energy down as much as possible. He was worried about guards standing inside the academy, but if Chun Yoan and his members managed to sneak through them, then he figured his trained warriors also can do it. And when he did, there weren't many guards standing at the gate, and guards inside were also very crude. I didn't think the security was this bad. Nobody would have known if we killed him back at the academy. The old man scoffed at underwhelming level of security at the academy. Chun Yoan was powerful, so it was understandable from the beginning, but this level of security proved that it would have been easy for Yoan's members to walk freely into the academy. When the old man got to the hill where Prison Cave was located at, he made his warriors hide down at the hill and ambush Yoan's members when he comes down. And when he got up to the peak, the old man opened his senses to find Chun Muyun and Mu Jinyun. There they are. He found people gathered in one place and walked over. The stone that should have been sealing the cave was open, and when the old man took a step in, he was shocked. With the sound of the sword pulling out, 3 men came out of the cave. They were instructors of Demonic Academy. What is going on? Wait, did he lie to us? It was good that he hid his face with a mask in case. One of the instructors was senior instructor Ho Jinchong. Ho Jinchong shouted at the old man. How dare you infiltrate into the Demonic Academy? Put down your weapon and surrender. Of course, the old man wasn't going to surrender. He immediately turned and ran down the mountain. He was better than them in martial arts, so he knew he can run away from them. Stop! The shout from behind got further away. He had to get down to the mountain and retreat from this place right away. He had to go straight to the Wise clan to have warriors bringing out hostage to go back. How dare he lie? I'll never. What? The old man, when he came down, had to stop. Warriors who were ordered to hide in ambush were down on the ground, drenched in blood. And in front of them, a man with long fiery red hair was standing. There was no one in the cult who didn't know about this man. Left Guardian. It was Left Guardian Li Hamming. The old man frowned. He knew what was going on immediately. So, he was Chun Yoan's man. How can this be? He didn't imagine one of the guardians that served the Lord was working with Chun Yoan. That was the only explanation for such a trap. I have to run. If things had come to this, then he had to run. Warriors of the Wise clan were already ordered to kill himself if they were caught. But if he gets caught, then that was a different story. The old man then turned to the right and began to run. He couldn't even think about the difference in power. There was no way he will defeat Supreme Level Warrior, so it was at least better to try to run away. But that was a false hope. You think you can run? Old man flinched and turned, and Li Hamming's red sword was penetrating into the old man's neck. No. And that was the last sight the old man saw in his life. Lady Mu screamed as she looked at the head. Uncle Sun. The old man was the apprentice of the former leader of the Wise clan, Sun Jinung. He was a teacher to Lady Mu since she was very young and had been a trusty guard for her entire life. It was shocking to see his death. Lady Mu became confused. She didn't imagine that Left Guardian was involved in this. Wait, his servants are? Lady Mu looked at Li Hamming with disbelief. Li Hamming bowed to Yoan politely and flashed the old man's head. It's as you said, Prince. Thank you, Left Guardian. You're welcome. They weren't trying to hide their relationships either. Lady Mu bit on his lips. She shouted angrily at Li Hamming. Left Guardian. Since when the Guardians supported a candidate of the heir? You are breaking the laws of the cult. Li Hamming then turned to Lady Mu for the first time and spoke. Lady Mu. It's been a while. I don't care if it's been a while. Answer my question. Li Hamming grinned at Lady Mu's anger. I am sure the competition is already over. That's. With every competitor defeated, only one who can try to become the heir was Chun Yoan. If Yoan doesn't fail in gathering approvals, then it was inevitable that he will become the future lord. And of course for other candidates who were driven out, they would gain another chance if Yoan dies, and that was why Lady Mu had set up this trap. Lady Mu became more angered at Li Hamming's attitude and gritted her teeth. You think this is over? Did you forget I still hold on to the people you love? She had failed in bringing her sons back, but she still had Guard Jiang and 2 of Chun Yoan's members. Even if Li Hamming appeared here, she thought Yoan will not try to do anything reckless while she still had hostages. But with Li Hamming here, I won't be able to kill him. I have to return back to the clan while I hold on to those hostages. If Chun Yoan was alone, she could have done something by using her forces here, but with Li Hamming joined, then it was too late. 2 supreme level warrior was enough to wipe out forces at the place. It was better for her to wait until elders from 6 clans to return. I have to join forces with them and kill Chun Yoan. This is out of my boundary. If Chun Yoan was alone, she would have found a way to kill him, but if Yoan had members then it was different. And as Yoan looked at Lady Mu silently thinking, he spoke. You sure you have those hostages? Don't try my patience. I will kill that guard Jiang to show you that I am not bluffing. Kill guard Jiang? You think I can't do? But before she can finish, archers standing guard over at the roof shouted. And no. Lady Mu. There's an. Archers seemed lost for words from shock and Lady Mu opened her senses. She then turned grim. There were many signs of people outside the mansion. At least 300 people were circling the mansion now. What is going on? There was no lord at the cult right now, so it wasn't going to be warriors from the guardians who went with the lord. Then who were these people? That's when someone jumped over the building and down at the courtyard. He had red silk clothes with yellow butterfly embroidery and makeup on his face. It was 11th Elder Huan Yi. Who is this man? Huan Yi never showed himself other than to lord or elder meeting, so Lady Mu did not know who this was. But she knew that he was a powerful man just by looking at his movement. Huan Yi spoke to Yun. Huan Yi, the leader of Ghost Illusion Clan, at your service, Prince. I have completed the order. Hehe, am I late? Ghost Illusion Clan? Are you the 11th Elder? Lady Mu became grim. She figured it wasn't any man, but she didn't imagine it was 11th Elder. At your service, he says? Is the 11th Elder working for Chun Yoan too? By the gods. She didn't even think this was possible. She thought Yoan just got out of the academy, so it was not understandable as to how Yoan even took Elder as his servant. This is bad. If she didn't have her hostage, then she was in a trap now. She began to shake from terror. We brought them over to my mansion. You can be reassured. What? Lady Mu became shocked. She thought hostage was the only one she can count on. Huan Yi smiled at Lady Mu. Oh, I am just saying I moved your precious hostage to my mansion. It seems you have taken good care of them, Lady Mu. Ash, Ostage. Lady Mu became pale and almost fell to the ground. I lost. Chapter 166. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 9. Are they okay? Chun Yoan asked worryingly at Huan Yi. Huan Yi then became grim and answered. Samachuk and Baki are okay, with minor internal damage. But your guard is in serious condition. I called the doctor but he can die at any moment. Huan Yi, after being ordered by Yoan, was already on standby near the Wise clan. When warriors of the Wise clan went into the mansion and brought out the hostage, Huan Yi ambushed them immediately. They took the hostage back, but guard Jiang was in a terrible state. If Yoan had seen guard Jiang with all of his bodies burned and his nails, teeth all pulled out, Yoan would have been so shocked. Jiang. And as he heard that guard Jiang was on the verge of death, terrifying hostile aura began to rose out from Yoan's body. The anger he had been holding back had finally exploded. What is that energy? It feels like he's strangling our heart. Warriors from Wise Clan shivered at such terrifying energy. The aura coming out from the end stage of Supreme Level Warrior was not something they can resist. He didn't use all of his power when he fought me. Huan Yi realized that Yoan had not used all of his power back at his mansion. Huan Yi was not yet at the established Supreme Level. NNNNGH. How can I lose to such a boy? Lady Mu was confident in her cunning and strategic skills. She thought she had won as she saw through Yoan's trap, but she never imagined Yoan have hidden such powerful cards. No. I can't give up now. She had done so hard to put the Wise clan at first rank within the 6 clans. If she were to accept her loss here, then the Wise clan's pride was going to drop to the ground. How can I get out of this? Think. She needed a way out as she couldn't fight against 3 Supreme Level warriors anymore. And after a slight second, she screamed toward Li Hamming and Huan Yi. Left Guardian, 11th Elder. You think you two will be fine from doing this? Li Hamming asked back weirdly. What do you mean? Do you think you can harm the first wife of the Lord, and the sister to the first Elder, and be safe? Ha! Maybe this was more of provoking them, but she only had this way to get out of the situation. She had to warn them if they will be okay if Mu Jinwan, the first Elder, returns to the cult. Ha ha ha, this is interesting. I didn't think you would threaten us even in this situation. Huan Yi even smiled at Lady Mu's threat. Chun Yoan then asked Li Hamming coldly. Where are they? Your members are bringing them here. Ah! Lady Mu's eyes shook. It looked like Yeowon was talking about her son Chun Moo-yoon, and her brother's son, Moo Jin-yoon. That's when people mumbled from outside the mansion. Let them go. If you don't step back, they will die. The voice of the man that heard later was Ko Wonger. It seemed they had brought those Yeowon was waiting for. Warriors from Wise clan had to let Ko Wonger, Mun Ku and Hu Bong pass through, so no harm will be done to hostages. Moo-yoon. Lady Mu was so shocked that she screamed in the pale face at Chun Moo-yoon. Chun Moo-yoon was in terrible shape. His 2 hands were cut down and wrapped in linen wrap, and his one eye was pulled out and covered in a wrap. There was no more confident prince in him. Mother? I'm sorry. Aunt. Moo Jin-yoon was brought over by Hu Bong, who held Jin-yoon by the back of his neck. It seems Chun Moo-yoon was only one who had been injured badly, as Jin-yoon only had some minor bruises over his face. Jin-yoon, however, couldn't look up directly to Lady Mu out of shame. Lady Mu gritted her teeth. She too was a mother. She had been scared of realizing she had lost, but looking at her son made her furious. Chun Yeo-won. It was going to be strange if she would not get furious at watching her son in such shape. But she also knew that there was no way for her to do anything. She panted a while from anger, and soon knelt at Chun Yeowon. Lady and mother. Warriors of the Wise clan and Chun Moo-yoon shouted in shock. Lady Mu, the current leader of Wise clan, to fall on her knees like this meant that they were accepting their loss. Lady Mu then slammed her head against the ground and begged. Prince Chun Yeowon. I accept my loss. I accept that you are the heir. Please show your mercy and let go of my boys and my warriors. She had thrown all of her pride to beg. Chun Moo-yoon and Moo Jin-yoon's eye became reddened from tears. Lady Mu had to kneel and put her head to the ground to the son of Lady Hua, who she hated the most, just to save her sons. Mother. Why? Enough. Remember our humiliation today. We will strike back once your uncle returns. And I can kneel or bow to this peasant 1,000 times if I can save you. So, if you want to help, then stay quiet. Lady Mu sent a telepathic message and Moo-yoon stopped to speak. I will kill you no matter what it takes. Moo-yoon thought as he looked at his mother with teary eyes. We Wise clan promise never to harm you, Prince Chun Yeowon. Please, show mercy. Lady Mu kept on slamming her head to the ground and begged. Prince? Lee Hamming turned to Chun Yeowon. Yeowon, who was showing rage just until now, was now looking down at Lady Mu silently without any emotion. Lady Mu, an influential figure within the cult, was kneeling down, putting her head on the ground to beg for her son's life. This was already a great feat, but there was one thing that was concerning. Will Lady of Steel really not do anything if she goes free? As a left guardian, Lee Hamming saw many women, but he had never seen such a dangerous woman as Lady Mu. But it was also understanding if Chun Yeowon will be touched to show mercy at such show of motherly love. Yeowon, who had been looking down at Lady Mu, turned and walked toward Moo-yoon and Jin-yoon. He then spoke to Wonger and Hu Bong. Free them. Huh? Free them and step back. Ko Wonger and Hu Bong became confused at order that was hard to understand, but freed their captives. Lady Mu brightened up as she saw her sons being freed. Good. She thought she was going to get out of this trap. That's when Yeowon turned at her and spoke coldly. You think I will forgive you for just bowing down? What? Feel what it is like to see your loved ones in pain. And at that moment, Yeowon's hand wielded white blade chi and merciless slashed through Moo-yoon and Jin-yoon's body. No. Lady Mu screamed, but it was too late. Yeowon moved so fast that Moo-yoon and Jin-yoon's 2 arms and legs were cut down immediately. 2 of them's face that was brightened, twisted in extreme pain. Aargh. Aargh. My arm. My leg. 2 of them dropped to the ground, pouring blood from their cut limbs and rolled on the ground. Yeowon's entire body were showered with blood pouring out. Ko Wonger and Hu Bong then realized why Yeowon told them to stand back. Oh, so he wanted to do it himself. NNGH. Ah. Lady Mu's face turned red from fury as she saw her sons getting their limbs chopped off, and Yeowon looked at her and spoke. And feel what it is like to see your loved ones die. Lady Mu's bloodshot eyes trembled madly as Yeowon declared of their death. There was no begging here anymore. If Yeowon was going to do it, then he was going to do it. And no. Please. Don't. She had to stop. She tried to jump out by sending all her energy to her feet. But that's when she saw Yeowon's blade chi cutting down Moo-yoon's head. Ah. Hack. Shock made her even hard to breath, and Yeowon spoke to her coldly. That is the pain I felt, and it now belongs to you. Chapter 167. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 10. Chun Moo-yoon suffered in terrible pain with both of his arms and legs cut off until his head was beheaded. This was shocking for everyone, especially those from the Wise clan. You dare? It was now beyond the line where they could just stand and watch. Warriors of the Wise clan pulled out their weapons to fight. Left Guardian Li Hamming then pulled out his flame sword out and created blue force chi to draw a line on the ground. The line clearly created a line between warriors of the Wise clan and Li Hamming. Hamming then unleashed potent energy and shouted warningly at warriors of the Wise clan. If you cross this line, I will not let you live. They were warriors of the demonic cult, so they were too aware of the might of the Left Guardian Li Hamming. Li Hamming had many names, such as Left Guardian and Chief of the Demonic Academy, but he was also called the Flame King within Yulin. It was an infamous name given to him because whoever that was cut from his flame sword that wielded extreme heat made its wound burn down that it can't be healed. If you are not afraid to die, then you can try coming over it. Li Hamming moved his sword and warriors all flinched and backed away. Didemi. Our prince just died miserably and we can't even. Flame King. No matter of their fury, they couldn't dare to cross the line. They knew well that crossing that line meant their instant death. Li Hamming's fame was not something they can just take lightly. But of course, there were some brave, or reckless ones also. I'll kill you all. The middle-aged man with a long beard that had his wrist snapped off by Yoan roared and charged against Yoan, trying to kill him. But his body was cut in half even before he got closer to Yoan. Aowarg. The man fell down on the ground while screaming. His spine and entire waist had been cut down, so it was not likely that he can endure such pain. NNNGH. The man flinched for a while and soon died. The blade with red engravings was dripped in blood. IT wasn't sure even when he pulled out his blade, but Huani appeared next to the man and cut him off in half. It's amazing. I couldn't even see him. Munku, Hubong, and Ko Wonger were shocked by such sight. They knew Huani and Li Hamming were both supreme-level warriors, but looking at them with their own eyes made them realize how powerful these warriors were. And it was even more astounding that Chun Yoan had made them succumb to himself. I have far more to go. Ko Wonger, who was always willing to become stronger, became influenced by these. He and others in Yoan's original group were also very powerful considering their age, but looking at Yoan or highest-ranking warriors of the cult made him feel very weak. Ugh. Yoan then moved on and cut down Mu Jinyan's neck. It was a miserable ending for the sons of the Wise clan who had a bright future ahead of them. Lady Mu looked at Chun Muyun's head rolling on the ground dumbfoundedly. The pain of losing someone important. It had been a long time since she felt such pain. She had lost her grandparents and her parents, but they died after living out their life due to old age. As she saw her loving son Muyun's head being cut off, pain that felt as if her heart was being ripped apart made her even hard to breathe. My son. No, where did it go wrong? She thought through all the choices she made, but there were no mistakes in any of it. She checked all of her plans, but there was no indication where her plans might have failed. She had captured Chun Yoan's guard and made Yoan to not move. Recklessly. She also kidnapped 2 of his servants so Yoan cannot know who was behind all these kidnappings. I was going to get rid of the Poison Clan and Chun Yoan together. She took out most of the Poison Clan forces while ago. Poison Clan had lost 80% of their forces when they attacked the Wise Clan, but the Poison Clan was still a potential threat to Lady Mu. If it wasn't for the other 4 clans who came in to stop them, with Talking Old Alliance as their reason, she would have wiped out the entire Poison Clan already. Who cares about the alliance? There's no reason to leave an enemy behind. But she had no reason to attack. As her clan was still the leader clan of 6 clans, she needed to be careful. She needed a reason that would make the other clans accept. Chun Yoan, you are helping me. She then made a trap for Chun Yoan so that Yoan had fought against the remaining forces of the Poison Clan that resulted in all of their death. It might look suspicious, but 4 other clans will not raise objections as the result also killed Chun Yoan. Or so she thought it would happen. How did he find out? Yoan acted as if he knew the Wise Clan was a culprit even before coming here. And at Lady Mu, who was confused and in pain from losing her son, Yoan walked over to her. Heek. Chapter 168. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 11. The aura of hostility grew stronger as he walked closer. Even if Lady Mu was strong, she was merely at the end stage of Super Master level warrior. She couldn't bear to breathe under the pressure coming from Chun Yoan's end stage of supreme level energy. Is he going to kill me here too? She had set up a trap so she can kill him, but it was she who was being threatened with death. She couldn't understand what had gone wrong. Chun Yoan got up to her and looked down at her. Did you feel enough pain? Why are you doing this to me? It's me who set up traps. Why did you kill my... Yoan kicked Lady Mu's stomach before she can finish and she was thrown all the way back. It didn't wield any energy, but powerful force pushed her back, twisting her organs. Blood began to come over her throat as she got up in pain and Yoan walked over to her. "Do you think you will die comfortably when you killed my mother?" When Lady Mui heard this, her eyes became large and looked back at Yoan with shock. It has been 10 years. Even the Lord, after using his guardians to search through, couldn't find who was behind Lady Wa's death. How did Chen Yoan find out? Yoan then pulled out a crumpled piece of paper and threw it at Lady Mu. They were full of writings in the paper piece and Lady Mu read down with shaking eyes. "It's Chen Jongsum from the Poison Clan. Chen Yoan, I have something to tell you. 10 hours ago, a little bit after noon at the mansion of the Poison Clan, a middle-aged man was being reported to by a warrior of the Poison Clan. I saw him being taken away by warriors from the Wise Clan. I couldn't hear correctly as I had to keep distance, but I saw the man with a long beard saying to that young man, that the young man was a servant of Chen Yoan's. Is that all you have today?" "Yes, sir. That and the incident at the restaurant." "I see." The warrior then went to his post and the middle-aged man walked into the main room. Inside of the main room, there was a bed with a young man, scrawny and pale, barely moving from the bed. "Prince, it's me. Uncle, you're here." The man who barely spoke over at the bed was Chen Jongsum, Prince of the Poison Clan. He was now able to speak after healing up tremendously. That alone was an amazing feat. It was after 2 days that Chen Jongsum woke up from passing out after trying to say something furiously, when Beko met Lady Mu. Jongsum originally had lost of any movement over his body, so he couldn't even move his tongue, but when he woke up again, he was able to speak again. It was a miracle happened due to his anger influencing his senses. He still couldn't move, but he was able to speak very slowly at least. "So, the Wise Clan, was there any move?" "Yes, there was. The middle-aged man was the only remaining leader of the Poison Clan, Baek Sang. The Poison Clan failed on ambushing the Wise Clan and had lost most of its forces. Remaining forces were now put to watch over the Wise Clan, as they were afraid the Wise Clan might move any time to wipe remaining forces. You may not like to hear this, but Chen Yoan had appeared." Chen Jongsum's eyes shook. He had shown no emotion recently, but he was definitely shaken from the news. Baek Sang began to report on what had happened recently. From Chen Yoan being found at the restaurant and one of his servant being kidnapped near the Wise Clan's mansion. Chen Jongsum then realized something had happened between the Wise Clan and Chen Yoan. Wise Clan attacked his servant. Chen Jongsum thought for a long while. He thought that maybe this was his last chance to rise up again. Maybe I can make them fight each other. With main forces all wiped out, the Poison Clan was focusing on surviving. It was miserable days for them. But Jongsum thought maybe he can use this. That bitch. Chen Jongsum knew who was really behind the death of Lady Wa, mother of Chen Yoan. What if Chen Yoan finds out that Lady Mu not only attacked his servants, but also killed his mother? You two can kill each other. If that was the case, then either Chen Yoan, who destroyed his life and killed his grandfather Beko, or Lady Mu who had blamed everything over at Poison Clan and wiped them out will die. Click. Yes, Prince. What should we do? Write down, what I say. Chen Jongsum made Baek Sang write down everything Jongsum knew revolving around Lady Wa's death and made it sent to Chen Yoan at once. Chen Jongsum cried in joy for getting a chance to avenge him, first time after he began his life in the bed. But the fate was dire for the Poison Clan. Just as Chen Jongsum planned so that Yoan and the Wise Clan can fight each other, Lady Mu had planned to fake that Yoan fought against remnants of the Poison Clan. Chapter 169. Into the Snake's Mouth. Part 12. And now it returns to the present. The crumpled letter had every detail revolving around Chen Yoan's mother, Lady Wa's death and to how the Wise Clan kidnapped Yoan's servant. Lady Mu became pale as she trembled with rage as she read through. She was both dumbfounded and enraged at the same time. This fool. She did not imagine that Chen Jongsum, merely a living corpse living day to day on a bed, would send this kind of letter to Chen Yoan. Every mystery was solved. The reason why Chen Yoan knew who was behind the kidnapping, and how he knew Lady Mu was behind the killing of his mother, it was all because of Chen Jongsum. How can I, from that living corpse? Awaya. Lady Mu ripped apart the letter that destroyed everything and screamed maniacally. If it wasn't for this letter, she would have not been in such a state. She then glared at Chen Yoan and shouted, "Yes. I killed your dirty piece of scum, whore mother." There was no more of Lady Mu's polite and sophisticated manner of speaking. With everything revealed, she had no thought of holding anything back. So what? You avenged your mother by killing my sons. Will you kill me now? You know very well. Yoan answered coldly and Lady Mu shouted back angrily. Bullshit. You think you have what it takes to kill me? If you kill me right here, then my brother, the first elder, will come after you, and cut out your limb after limb before you die. And all of those involved around you, KYAAA. As Lady Mu screamed, something shoot past her eyes. It was blue force chi coming out from Yoan's hand. Her eyes were slashed by Yoan's force chi and she screamed as she grabbed her eyes with her hands. My eyes. My eyes. I can't see. You have no right to see. Aao warg. You dirty peas, NNNNGNGNGNGGHH. This time, Yoan cut her entire mouth before she can unleash all of her anger. You have no right to talk either. With force chi melting down all of her teeth and tongue, Lady Mu couldn't even scream and got down to the ground. Her face were distorted severely as her eyes and mouth were slashed horizontally. Ugh. Warriors from the Wise clan looked away from such cruelty. But Yoan's anger did not end there. So, was with this dirty hand that you poisoned my mother? Yoan then swung his hand at Lady Mu, who was rolling on the ground from pain to her both hands. She shivered through severe pain. It was even amazing that she didn't pass out from such terrible pain. Stop! Stop! One of the warriors from Wise clan shouted furiously. Are you not afraid of the aftermath? We are not in our full force here. First Elder. We'll never forgive you if he finds out what happened here. If he finds out, that is. What? Chun Yoan then reached out his hands at a storage building at a distance. With the force of energy pulling on it, the door burst opened and something that was piled up inside overflowed outside. Ugh. Everyone smelled the thick smell of blood coming out from the storage room. It was so shocking that Mun Ku and Hu Bong gasped. Ah! The piles inside the storage room were corpses. Tens of dead bodies were piled up inside the storage room. Within those dead bodies were Baek Sang, last leader of the Poison Clan, and Chun Jongsum, who couldn't even close his eye from miserable death he faced. So, they hid bodies of dead Poison Clan people inside the storage room. Ko Wonger shook his head as he looked at those bodies. The plan seemed clear. If they succeeded in their plan to kill Chun Yoan, they would have framed it that Yoan and the Poison Clan fought against each other and killed both parties as a result. Yoan then stomped on Lady Mu on the ground, who was squirming in pain. You all were wiped out while fighting against the Poison Clan. I don't think First Elder will find out anything. Warriors of the Wise clan became grim. Yoan was going to use the trap that was set up to kill him against the Wise clan themselves. Yoan then ordered his servants who were standing idle. Kill all of them. Yes, Prince. And with that order, left guardian Li Hamming and 11th Elder Huan Yi charged against warriors of the Wise clan. Arg. Two supreme-level warriors swung their sword and blade across the screaming of these warriors. This wasn't a fight. It was a one-sided massacre. No. She was blinded and she couldn't even speak, but she still had her ears functioning, so she heard screaming of warriors from her clan and moved about madly in rage. Chun Yoan then lowered his head and whispered at Lady Mu on the ground. You will go last. For the first time, and the last in her life, Lady Mu had felt both despair and regret.